Okay, before we begin, due to the nature of life and due to the nature of video, there's every chance that by the time you're watching this, a lot more information about Seth Rollins' injury has come out, and that changes everything. So, for the purposes of this episode of the Why series, let's keep both our fingers crossed that Seth Rollins is going to be fine and that Seth Rollins is going to make it to WrestleMania. And either way, I send all my best wishes to the man because nobody should have to go through that. But given that Samoa Joe recently attacked Seth Rollins on Raw and has aligned himself with Triple H, I think that NXT's newest promotee should take the game spot at WrestleMania. Why? Here's why. Now, unfortunately, as much as I would like to see this happen, I don't actually think it's gonna happen. But on that point, the Why series is here to encourage debate, to make you think about things and react. It's not the be-all and end-all of what should happen in the pro wrestling world, it's just like a mini editorial to brighten up your life. With that said, I really do think a Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania 33 does more for WWE going forward than if Seth takes on Triple H. To a certain extent anyway. As we've said before here, allowing Seth Rollins to beat the King of Kings at the grandest stage of them all is only going to do wonders for Seth Rollins' career. I mean, Triple H is still considered a huge star by many, and given how much effort and time has been put into the feud, if Seth has his hand raised at the end of it, it's just going to give him a huge rub. It's something that he can use as a platform for years. Much like Chris Jericho did when he won the Undisputed title, or, of course, how Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman continually go on that they were the people to break the Undertaker's streak. That kind of incident can be the concrete to which you lay all your foundations. I just thought of that now, it's good, right? Foundation, concrete, build, whatever. However, Joe being inserted into the mix does change things a little bit. Now, no one knows what the plan is for sure, apart from those that are in WWE's inner circle. But if that plan was to just bring Samoa Joe up and then let Seth Rollins run through him at Fastlane, well, that's no good. That's no good at all. We all know that when Mania is done and dusted, Triple H will go back behind the scenes and we won't see him wrestle again for a while. And that is fine. He's a veteran, he's done more than enough in the past, and to be honest with you, he probably has a lot of other things that he's got to achieve, and wrestling at this point just gets in the way of all of that. And yes, like we just pointed out, although Seth can use that win on TV, what I'm more concerned about here is the damage all of this could potentially do to Samoa Joe. If Rollins hadn't have injured his knee and then managed to get one over Joe that just tied into the whole Triple H storyline, that just makes Joe a part of somebody else's game. No pun intended. Joe's whole gimmick has always been that he's a massive dude that can kick anybody's ass. That's why if we ever see a Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe program, you'll still believe that Joe could kick Lesnar's ass because you just believe Joe. You look at Joe and think, that dude could kick anybody's ass, even a guy that used to be in the UFC. So what is anyone meant to think if within a few weeks of being called up, he just gets beat? It's fine if you know the guy and you know his career and you've seen what he can do in the Indies and NXT, but if you've ignored all that stuff, some man has just arrived on the roster and you're left with the impression of, meh. Sure, he kicked down the door damn hard when he arrived, but slowly and surely that door started to creep back closed and there was nothing that Joe could do about it to keep that door open. Now, as an analogy, that made absolutely no sense, but my point still stands. Momentum and domination when somebody enters the scene is key, and as soon as you lose that, it's really hard to build it back up. So why not have it be Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins at Mania 33 with Triple H in the former's corner? I'd argue the two would have a better match with each other, and I'd argue that Joe would get a tremendous push over being disassociated with the game. Plus, if you still want Rollins to win and continue this on, you can have that match down the line. Do it at SummerSlam or something. I don't care. It's your show. What do I know? I get that this all still results in Joe losing, but it's a far better scenario than him just getting wiped out of Fastlane or completely fading into the background before the biggest night in the WWE year. This time is crucial for him as he tries to establish himself, and having some kind of post-Mania drive is even more important still. You can't just feed him to the wolves and then expect people still to care. As soon as you get fed to the wolves, people stop caring. I tell you who they start caring about, the wolf. I don't mean Baron Corbin, it's another analogy. And I understand as well, Joe versus Rollins doesn't have the same mainstream appeal as Rollins versus Triple H, especially when you consider how much time they've invested into that feud. It's got to have a payoff. My focus here really then is how they go about handling Samoa Joe throughout all of this. I don't want him to disappear. I don't want him to be treated like a mid-carder. I don't want him to be metaphorically shat on. I want him to be showcased, and I want him to be treated like a top guy. And from where I'm standing, given the scenario, that would be the best way to do it. Maybe if it is bad news for Seth, you could just transfer him out and put Joe in. Triple H comes out on Raw, says he did what he said he was gonna do and took out Seth Rollins. And then Joe comes out and says, wait a minute, pal, you didn't do that. I did that. Show me some respect. Triple H doesn't show him respect. Joe gets mad. Joe beats up Triple H. And there you go. There's a match for Mania 33. Ultimately, it is going to be Triple H and Rollins at Mania as long as Seth is okay. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I think it will be a good match. And I am looking forward to it. But just make sure you do something with Samoa Joe at the same time. Get him over to SmackDown to have a match with John Cena. Put him in the IC title program. Pick a name of note and let Samoa Joe kill him. I don't care what you do, just do something. And please, WWE, don't bungle this. Don't bungle it. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about all of this, and then like, share, and subscribe. And you can even come tell me on Twitter at SimonMiller316. I'm Simon from WhatCulture. It's time to say bye. Thanks for tuning in. You have just been wide.